Hi guys, thanks for checking in. In this video I wanted to share with you my Data Viz project for this year's Iron Viz competition. So this will be looking about the Viz, how I came up with the idea, how I went about building a narrative from it, and then putting it into practice in Tableau. So Iron Viz, for those that haven't heard, is a big data visualization competition run by Tableau, where you get hundreds of submissions from around the world on a particular topic. So for this year's Iron Viz topic, the theme was visualizing the arts. So this could be anything from pictorial art to film to TV to music, all kinds of arts that you could, or anything that you could pin towards the subject of art. Even newer things like NTFs were coming up, which is quite fun. So with Iron Viz, you're going to be marked on 3 things, which are storytelling, analysis, and design. So really, if you're going to submit for this, you've got to try and think about how you're going to incorporate those 3 themes into your visualization. So the inspiration behind my project actually came from a game that I played with my family during lockdown. This is a game called Drawful 2, where you get given a prompt to your phone, you've got to go and draw it within a time limit, and then we all got to guess what it's meant to be. One member of my family makes very hard to guess drawings. And so I have these drawings on my phone, I was sharing them with some of my friends. It's like, can you guess what this is meant to be? And they couldn't either. And so this led to the question, can anyone guess what these are meant to be? So that thought snowballed a bit more, and that became a form, Google Sheets form for people to fill in. So I then was collecting data on what people thought each of these images were. So from analysing the data, I looked over it and found there wasn't really any trends to it or anything. And then I mulled on it for a second and researched what people say when they look at interpreting art, and it comes from your background and what you've grown up with. So in a sense it did make sense. It meant that we were all individual in this case. And then that became the actual story in itself, is that we are all unique in our interpretations, that we can agree on some things but we won't agree on everything. And that was what was really interesting to me. So as I had gone on this sort of eureka moment of working out what the narrative was going to be, I wanted to simulate this for the user as well. I thought, what better way to make the user really engaged in the work is to actually put them in the story itself. So the Viz starts off with a small introduction, but you're back into the quiz that was originally launched. So the idea with this is that the user will be picking an answer which will be firing a parameter and updating values in the background. And when they've hit all 6, they'll get the option to submit their answers. So what's the one thing everybody wants to know when they finish the quiz? How do they do? So you have that immediately. That then layers into how you did versus everybody else. This little diagram. You then also see what the questions were, what the artist's interpretations were for those questions, and then you also get to see how many people actually agreed with your responses as well. So it's not like one of the narrative parts of this was not saying that your answer was wrong or right. It was saying that that's your interpretation, and actually some people agree with you, the artists agree with you in some cases, which is how the quiz works, but just because you said it was something else doesn't mean you're necessarily wrong. And that leads us on to this little comic strip at the bottom, which is one of the narrative elements I want to try and experiment with. So trying to nudge back to what do these charts mean in the context of the story. So sometimes it's harder to say, like, well, I got 1, what does that mean? And helps lead on to the next chart, where it actually talks about building connections with people. All the answers to these questions came from members of my family, or in this other case, Google, which I thought was a nice little build to see how well the machine can do at interpreting these drawings. And here you can actually see how well you align with different members of the family. So by shading in blue for the overall shape, as well as the little dots around the edge will show which questions you got. So next up we walk into the Sankey diagram, which really shows, in my mind, the inconsistency between how these questions were answered between different people, that we all had our unique view that was going to be ball playing triplets or punch and drive. No person was really consistent across this, and this is really shown by your blue line that skirts across the screen. It really reinforces the point at the end where we talk about actually how many people agreed with your answers. In most cases, it's going to be 0 or close to it, but actually, you do agree with people now and then. So at least one of your answers actually can connect you to quite a large number of people. And then again, back with the comic strip where we're reinforcing this part of the story saying, what does this mean? I'm unique, yes, but also you have great connections to other people. You may not agree on everything, but there'll be points that you do. And that's part of this, is building connections, having a conversation around what you think these drawings are. Brings us all a bit closer together and helps us understand each other's backgrounds a bit better. That's all for this video. I just want to give a quick shout out to Sarah Bartlett and her team of feedback providers. I received feedback and really appreciate it and really helped give my viz a nice little polish. Also a big thank you to everyone who took part in the initial data collection through answering the quiz. It's really interesting, as I say, going through all your answers and coming to this actual eventuality as a story. So this viz is as much mine as it is yours. If you want to check out my viz, it will be in the description box. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video.